All right. So, sorry, you were explaining what Agilent did.
Yeah, Agilent that was really the core of what the company started when Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard started the business. They did oscilloscopes, um, different kinds of measurements, but at the end they had probably the product that was more visible to everyone was they made the monitors. They were in the medical business and did monitors like when women were in labor. The monitors used to measure the baby's heartbeat, or if someone was in intensive care or in the hospital, the monitors, and there were various different types of products that they made, and that was part of the measurement business. So, long story short, the company, in the best interest to keep the company more focused, they had grown into too many different various types of product line, and so they decided to again split the computer business, which became HP, and then split the tech, measurement business, and that became Agilent Technologies.
Measurement meaning like measurement
Of various different, now they're in life and sciences, and that is something I'm not too familiar with because I've been retired for the past 7 years. So I've kind of I haven't kept up with that.
Okay.
But that's the gist of it. So they became two separate companies. I chose because I was in an infrastructure position where I worked in HR, that they duplicated everything in one company to the other. Like they duplicated the human resource department in Agilent, and duplicated the one and had the same one for Hewlett Packard. And those of us that were in what they called infrastructure, we weren't part of a division because we supported all of HP. So I chose to go with the Agilent Technology Company.
Okay. Why did you choose that?
I chose to do that because I really felt having a long career of 35 years, I knew Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard, and they were extremely brilliant, smart, very hands-on founders of the company. They had wonderful values that they practiced and followed them with their employees. They managed by objective. It was kind of not a tops down but a bottom up type of company. And I felt like those values had been lost over the years, and I felt that those would carry more with the original part of the business, which was test and measurement. And I enjoyed that environment. I enjoyed working with a manager who was management by objective and not management by directive.
What can you just tell us quickly? What is management by objective?
Management by objective was a process that every year when you went into a new fiscal year, management was trained, and they basically, Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard's practices were basically moved and taught in business schools, in master programs. And what they would do is every manager, anyone that managed an organization, a department, if you were in a supervisor position or a middle management or high level management, you met with your group of people and they would say, what is our strategy going to be for this next year to make our department or our organization or our business profitable? And so everyone was involved in that process. Again, you call it kind of bottoms up. Bottoms up is you had the production level assembler involved in that process. So by the time, and along that way, you also dealt with the core company objectives: honesty, integrity, community involvement. I forget what they all were, but they were very, it was a very successful way of how to manage a company. And there was growth. I mean, it was very, very common to see someone like Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard on the assembly line, talking to their people as the company grew, became more complex, and became global, that they would go over there and talk to the product line assembler and say, hey, what are you doing here? What are you making? And they would ask them these questions just to make sure that all levels of the management of the company was being run the way they wanted it to run.
Okay. And so how many years were you at Agilent before you started?
Okay. At the end of my career, I left the company with 35 years of service. 4 of the years were in Agilent.
Okay.
And the others were at HP.
And what was your last job?
My last job, I was involved in global project management. What happened was, and that was in HR. Of my 35 years, I'll have to say probably 25 of my years were, 20 to 25 years were in HR. And that role continued to change because back then, every division, and again, remember we were a worldwide company, but every division, product unit division, had their own HR department. And that consisted of records and benefits, training and development, staffing, and then we had and there was a new role that signed that was called a liaison, where they had a assigned person that would work with each product, each functional manager, to become more of a business partner with them and to see what HR could do to become more of a business partner as the divisions in their businesses grew. A division consisted of, you had marketing, you had manufacturing, you had finance, and you had quality control. That was what a division consisted of. And so HR tried to play a role in seeing what we could do as a business partner to work with quality control, to work with finance, to work with marketing, to work with manufacturing.
And what was your specific job?
The
last one.
The last one was to be, as I first worked in a division, then I moved to corporate, and my job in corporate was more U.S. focused, but then as the role of HR changed, it became more and more clear that we had to look at ways of how we could standardize our processes globally. And that meant working with Asia Pacific, European countries, US, Latin America, and Canada. And so, like for example, staffing. How are we hiring top talent for our divisions, and how can we become more efficient by using technology to hire people? Because there was too many redundancies being done by divisions in the U.S. Well, as we standardized it for the U.S., then we said, what can we do to even make that more efficient for Asia Pacific? What can we do for Latin America? What can we do for Canada and Europe?
Okay, so why don't you say what are some of the major roles that you played within HR in your last few years? I mean, it could be on the HP side, or it can be on the Agilent side. What were some of the major specific roles you played?
Okay, I probably the one role I played was, first of all, centralizing all the Bay Area divisions to become